Happy Monday rolling out. This is your host, Christal Jordan. And as always, I'm excited to welcome you to another edition of Reality Check. Now, today's Reality Check, we are in the second to the last week of October, and there's so much going on. You guys know that this has just been a very eventful year, right? But October is National Women's Small Business Month. And so I'm excited about tonight's reality check. We have back-to-back reality checks with some amazing women talking about business. So if you're listening, you could be a man or a woman. I think you're going to hear some great tips on business, especially when it comes to entertainment and later with fashion. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and welcome our first two guests. They are entertainment. They have a new entertainment agency. Please help me welcome Courtney, Rhodes, and Dina, Marto. Welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Hello, Christal. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to Reality Check. And I was just telling the viewers that we're going to talk about business. It's going to be a business reality check. So I'm definitely looking forward to having you women, you guys share some tips with our viewers on business and partnership, because the reason that we're having this conversation is because you guys have come together and formed a agency, C&D The Agency, and it is a place for women, especially in entertainment. So I want to start with Dina, because I've known Dina for years. What? Tell me a little bit about how you guys came up with the idea to start this agency in the middle of a pandemic, no less.
Right. And just want to say thanks, Christal, for having us on. I've been seeing you do your thing for quite some time now. Courtney, I've been friends for a long time. Is that us? Okay.
That's better. Yeah, that's better.
Courtney and I have been friends for a long time now, and we've done some work in the past together, but we've always talked about doing something bigger together. And when the world kind of had to stop for this pandemic, we were able to take some time and focus in on what was really important to us. And for both of us, we believe our greater purpose is to mentor and lead the next generation of women leaders and just be there to help guide them. And so we decided to combine both of our skills and both of our expertise to come together to form this agency, and to also be an example and a safe place for women to have a positive experience of collaborating and working together.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, before you know what, I realized I didn't introduce you guys, give people the background, because I know a little bit about both of you guys' background. But Dina has been responsible for some of the biggest names. You've done PR and marketing and management for people like T.I. and Rick Ross and Polo Don and so many more. Been a part of, you're mentored by L.A. Reid and so many more people. So we know that you've been a powerhouse in entertainment. Courtney, you've done some huge marketing things with some huge corporate companies. So I want to go to you and ask, how did you guys decide to kind of bring your talents together to form a partnership that would be able to complement one another in business?
Sure. So Dina and I have been friends for quite some time now, and we've actually worked together on some projects before. So we've always had a really good synergy. I think at the heart of our work connection is the fact that we both had to figure out how to maneuver male-dominated industries and find our space. And we also talked about early on how wouldn't it have been nice if we had female mentors as we were coming up the ranks. So that was kind of like some of the things that we really connected on early on. And we both have always been super into and passionate about women entrepreneurship and women's empowerment. So that kind of has been the foundation for this partnership. Mm-hmm. And again, she's a great friend, so it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, well, definitely friendship is a great place to start, but I love the fact that you guys had some experience doing business. Now, I want to get into entertainment, because especially working in hip hop, we know that it's an industry that is often very misogynistic, and women don't often have safe spaces in the industry. We saw the Me Too movement really change things around, and women were actually speaking up and talking about experiences that they've had. I had a conversation with Molly Hunter around this time last year when she was launching her Earth Girl movement. And we talked about the fact that when women were looking to the gatekeepers for so many situations in hip hop were held by men, and men, often were judging women on things other than their skill set, right? So there's this feeling of women walking into the room and being judged on, their looks or how their aesthetic was. And it made so many women feel uncomfortable. Did you guys ever have to deal with that? And do you feel like the Me Too movement put us in a better place as women in the industry for being able to be seen outside of, the aesthetic and actually being able to be seen for our skill set?
Well, for me, I have been in the music business for nearly 20 years now. And I always say that women have to work 3 times harder to get the same respect, to get the same job opportunities, promotions, and equal pay if we're even at that level yet. And when I started off, there were very few women in the C-suite and executive positions. There were more in the administrative and supportive roles. And I think for me, men they're always going to kind of be who they are, and it's up to us to basically, I would say, demand the respect that we deserve, and we kind of have to earn that in these type of environments. So I always tell women that. I always say this: it's easier for a woman to get in the door, and it's harder to stay in that door. And for me, it's about being consistent and persistent. And I think a lot of women forget that. Well, I think it's just not known. And I think we don't know this when we're in the situation, but like looking hindsight, you'll realize this, that when we're in a certain scenario and a man may be trying to say, well, like, if you don't do this, you won't get this, or I'm the gatekeeper of moving you forward in your career or doing something for you. And a lot of times we think that that's the best opportunity that we've seen. That's the only opportunity that we're going to get. And in our minds, we think that this person is going to get us to the next level. But what I want to let women know is that that's not true. Not one person can take you away from your path, from your fate. And so what you would want to do in that situation is, when it makes you uncomfortable, don't be in that situation anymore. And know that you can go through another door, and that's okay.
Well, hopefully situations like these make it easier, because for so long, as you said, women weren't really in position to be able to, help other women get in position. Courtney, I want to go back and ask you, do you think that the Me Too movement has had a positive effect on women in business, especially when it relates to entertainment?
I certainly think so. Any opportunity or movement that gives a woman the opportunity to share her story, to share her voice, and to just tell the world what's happening to her or what has happened to her, I think it's good, because it gives her a place to begin to heal from. And I think it also helps men to understand some of the things that we've gone through as women for forever that maybe they're not privy about. And possibly when it's happening to, or it's happened to your daughter or your sister or your mother or someone that you care about, you're gonna take it a little more serious. And I think that in order to move the movement forward, we need more men to support us, to understand, and just to acknowledge what the dynamics of being a woman is like in male-dominated industries and just in America in general. And I think that's positive. So absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I like that, because I don't think that men were totally aware. I had so many conversations with colleagues and friends that were like, wow, you guys really have to go through that. And I'm like, yeah, I can remember walking into a room, and when you walk into a room, I had this conversation with a client, you feel yourself being judged from the guys in the room, right? Absolutely. And so that automatically puts you in a different space. So talk about, what do you guys want to do different? Let's talk about the agency. What are the principles that you guys are basing this agency on, so women can have a different experience, at least in this situation?
It's definitely about women working together and not being in competition with each other. I think oftentimes in these male-dominated spaces, women are pitted against each other. And I don't know if it's naturally or just if it's something that's just by design. But I think that we're a lot stronger if we join forces and work together. And it's really about wanting to share our knowledge, share our experience, and provide opportunity for minority women who often don't have the same opportunities as everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Courtney, do you want to add to that?
I think that's the bottom line. I mean, if we look at entrepreneurship in America and we just kind of look at the numbers, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. Like if we just look at from 2014 to 2019, right? So there has been like 23% growth in women-owned businesses, 9% in male-owned businesses. So more women are starting businesses, right? Then when you look at women of color, 43% of the growth comes from women of color. And if you're a Black woman, 50% comes from Black women. Yet, of all those women of color, we have 43%. We're only making about 21% of the overall revenue of women-owned businesses. So this is so important because we have to mentor women to teach them, number one, their value, to teach them to get over the imposter syndrome, because not your male counterparts definitely don't have it. And the number tell us that our white counterparts don't either, that white women aren't afraid to ask for mentorship, for resources, for connection. And so we're hoping to change that narrative so that as we continue to talk about the future is going to be female, and we certainly believe that, we want to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that there's more women leaders who understand how to, again, maneuver their way through the male-dominated industries to start businesses, to grow businesses, and to be successful as women entrepreneurs.
And make some money. We need
Absolutely.
Right. No, absolutely, Dina. I think that what you said, Courtney, is so true, because we see a lot of times women are doing the work. I've even seen men, in there is a thing is like a virtual or a workplace husband and wife, and you'll see a man in charge.
Absolutely.
Will be in work, he'll go get a woman and she'll come in and she will be running the entire operation for pennies on the dollar to what he's making.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you guys both. I know that you've had experiences that probably span both sides, but why do you think that we have those situations where women are doing the lion's share of the work, but we are not seen as worthy of the pay, or maybe we're not asking for the pay, or we're not, we're just, the opportunities for us to have the ownership are not there still?
I mean, Courtney says this all the time, that men grow up learning to be competitive with each other and having this confidence. If they see a job application and they have like 2 out of the 10 requirements, they're like, great, I'm going to apply for this job. And if a woman looks at that same job application, she will look at it and say, well, I don't have all of these requirements. And she feels like she can't apply. And I think it's about instilling some confidence and teaching women how to own their value. I'm still learning this every day. It's not easy conversations to have about what you deserve financially and demanding your pay and walking away from sometimes situations that are not paying you your worth. Yeah. So I think we just want to help guide women do that. And I know Courtney actually helps me do that a lot as well. She's that's why she's my partner.
That's what you're supposed to do. Get a partner that has a strength where you may not. Courtney, elaborate a little bit on that. We look like we may have lost Courtney. Well, I'll come back to that. Dina, let me ask you, because we mentioned, some of these huge names that you work with. I know you've been instrumental in TI's podcast, Expeditiously, that has become very, very popular, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Working with Rick Ross and different male characters.
Studios, which you were in for a while.
Absolutely, yes. Just so many huge names that you've been a part of that camp. How, if you were giving a reality check to a younger person, it doesn't have to be a woman or a man, how do you go in and tell someone that is at the level of a TI? Because at the time that you guys started working on Expeditiously, he's a huge star.
Right.
And you have to go in and be able to say, I feel like this plan that I have, you need to listen to me. I can manage this vision. Where do you get that confidence from, and how is that dynamic? Because a lot of times when a person has achieved a certain level of success, before you come on board, it's hard for them to take direction. So when you guys are talking about managing those type of stars, what have you learned, through working with names like that helps you along this journey?
Well, I think number one, you have to build a trust with your client or the person that you're working with. And you can't just walk in one day and just start giving orders and they're going to take them, but it's building that relationship with them. And I think the most important thing with me and the people that I've worked with in the past is just being completely honest with them.
Mhm.
Even if that doesn't sit right with what they want to do or it's not part of their plan, I like to always give my perspective or my side of it because I want them to know this is what I think. I'm going to support you, but this is my honest opinion and honestly how I feel. And I think people really respect that, especially celebrities. They're constantly have people around them that are just always saying yes or yes, we'll do this. There's a lot of yes people and not people really giving them the truth sometimes. And I think that's where I shine a little bit because I'm very authentic with my relationships with them and letting them know what I feel is important. And it's also, again, back to the journey of just when you've done it for so long, you're building your confidence as you go. You want to be in the room. You don't want to just be in the room. You don't want to just be at the table. You want to have a voice at that table.
Right.
So I've been working on that, for years. And I think that you earn the respect and your reputation and what you've done and your experience. Luckily, I don't have a lot of people questioning my expertise now that I did maybe in the past. But yes, I think it's about being honest, about being confident with what you know and what you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Great. If you guys are just turning in, we're talking to entertainment industry powerhouses, Dina Marto and Courtney Rhodes. And this is a business reality check. We just finished hearing Dina talk about some tips on going into handling management or even public relations or marketing with a celebrity and making sure that you stay authentic to what your professional skill set tells you and be honest with them. And eventually that will be respected. I definitely can say that has been true for myself as well. Courtney, I want to go back and we want to revisit that money conversation because I know for most of us, I don't think that we don't see women slacking in the areas of workload. We see women constantly being willing to get in there and do the work. What are some tips that you can give women, or what is our reality check on being able to ask for what we're worth when we go in to do a job? What do we need to remember?
Well, I think first off, you're only going to get what you ask for, right? So, I mean, let's just be honest. People are in business to make money. And if they can get your services for little to nothing, they're certainly going to get it. And it doesn't make them a bad business person. So you have to know your worth. And that happens from being around people that continue to reinforce and nurture that in you. I think mentorship is so important. Mm-hmm. And again, Dina and I are super committed to being mentors for women to kind of help lead and guide them through getting where they want to go. But for me personally, I had male mentors and I still do. And I think it was actually a blessing and a curse. Again, a blessing because they don't play about their money. And I learned that out of the gate, right? Like, these are my services and this is what it's going to cost. And either you want it, you can afford it, or you can't. No love lost. And I certainly appreciate them. I think women, we just have some other qualities like empathy, like nurturing, like listening a little better that makes us different from a man. But we have to and I think our tagline says it all: creating and doing the work from within. We have to convince ourselves from within that we're worthy. And once we know that we're worthy and we can get over the imposter syndrome, then we have the confidence to ask for what our worth is. But it's up to us. No one can pay you something that you don't agree to. And it should be a non-negotiable for women like it is for men. And if you have a real strong work ethic, or you have a reputation, people are going to pay for what you ask for. So you can't be afraid to lose an opportunity. You just have to know and stand strong because, again, you have to ask for it if you want it.
I like that. It brings me to my next question because I'm noticing you guys talking points that you mentioned. You wanted women to realize that being a woman is their superpower. And a lot of times in business, it can feel like because of those attributes that you just mentioned, empathy, and the fact that we tend to look at things from both sides, and we may be able to see the other person's perspective a little bit differently than men do. Right. A lot of times that can seem, those qualities can seem to work against us in business. So how do you think women should go to change their perspective and realize that being a woman and allowing themselves to experience those qualities that come naturally to us can be a superpower as opposed to a negative in business?
I think that you hit it on the nail. I mean, being a woman, just being yourself and what you bring to the table naturally as a woman is needed. It is balancing for the environment. And I would say that a lot of times I find women wanting to act more like what generally male stereotype of how men act, or very aggressively, or feel like they have to be rude or disrespectful to get their way, or kind of have this attitude. And I don't believe that at all. I believe that women can be kind, we can be gracious, we can be loving and caring, and we can still be a boss. We can still be a leader. And so we just want to nurture women's natural skills, whatever they may be, and just remind people that that's what you bring to the table, and all of those things are needed.
Right. Absolutely. So one of the things that women deal with is finding balance a little bit differently than men do in life. And I saw that's something else that you guys really encourage women. What do you think the importance is of really approaching business and approaching life from a balanced place? Because it seems like women, we tend to need that a little bit more than men do. At least that's the perspective I have from being around men in business, is they can be a little bit more one-dimensional, but we look at things and are happier and able to be successful when things are a little bit more balanced. So how do you guys personally find that balance for yourselves? And then, how do you encourage other women to do the same?
Well, to be honest, Dina's a lot better at finding balance than I am. It's something that it's certainly my weakness, and I'm certainly still struggling through it. But it's super important because, sometimes it's easy when you just want to get things done to get caught up in your to-do list and getting things done, and you don't really take the time to like self-care and do the things you need to fill you up. But it's super important because you can only give to your colleagues, your teammates, your children, your partner what energy you have left to give. Right. And so again, although I'm not that great at it, and I'm learning this from Dina, the more that you fill yourself up with, and of course, I work out for sure. I make time to do that. But the more that you fill yourself up and take time away from work, the more energy you have when you come to the table. So again, I think it's super important. It keeps you balanced, happy, fulfilled, and it takes you away from that to-do list that I keep around me all day, every day, just trying to get stuff checked off the list.
Dina, how have you found balance, since you are the leader when it comes to balance?
But I would say that to-do list, what I learned about that to-do list is that it is always there, and it never ends. So once you check some things off, you're going to have more things to add to that to-do list, unless you're just not growing, you're not moving forward anything. So I had to learn the hard way that my health was really important, that I needed to take time out for myself every day, no matter what I was doing, because I'm in an industry that is there's no schedule to it. It's a lifestyle business. There's no cutoff point. And I had to set those boundaries for myself and really just pour into myself so that I could have enough to pour into other people. And another thing that was really helpful for me is to build the proper team around, to delegate tasks, to not take everything on yourself, to learn to not be a perfectionist and OCD like I am, and let people help you. I think that's a hard thing for us to do as well, is to kind of ask for, or just to recognize that we shouldn't be doing it all ourselves by ourselves.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. That is huge. This next question is one of my favorites to ask women, especially when they're giving advice to other women, right? What would you tell yourself at, let's say, 18 years old? What advice would you give the 18-year-old Courtney, just out of high school, getting ready to go to college? What advice would you look back and give her?
I actually like this question a lot. And even the Courtney 5 years ago, I would tell her that most of the things that you think is real isn't real.
Yeah.
So the standards that society places on you, rather it's religious standards, things, behaviors that you learned as a child,
Yeah.
you know, that voice in our mind that's so self-destructive that makes you think that you have to, you know, compete and have certain things accomplished by a certain age. Like you go to college, you find a nice husband who is probably a doctor or a lawyer, you have 2 babies, you get a dog, and, you know, happily ever after. Like none of that is real. But there's a thing inside of us that I like to call just a woman's intuition, that superpower that we tend to talk about. And you have to really cut out the noise and focus on that. If you let that thing lead you, you will find your way, and that thing will show up for you in a way that you can make a career. And not only will you be able to make a career, you'll be fulfilled and you'll be happy, and it'll make you a whole woman. And that's certainly what I would tell her.
I like that. Dina?
I would tell younger Dina, like, just calm down. Everything is going to happen in its correct timing, and that what is meant for you is meant for you. And your journey is part of just enjoying that path and that journey. I think we are so one-track minded sometimes that we're not even in the present enjoying what that path is in that journey. And I think I would tell myself, like, everything is going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. So all the extra worry that you have when you spin your wheels, just worrying about things that never, ever come to fruition, you're just wasting that precious time when you could really be celebrating your wins and really enjoying the journey that you're going through. And I would definitely tell myself that.
Why is it more important than ever? And I know we've been preaching this over and over again on the entire platform of Rolling Out, but why is it so important for all of us to go out and vote this year?
Because if we don't, we may not have rights as people of color. Let's just be honest. Because our voices, I mean, when we think about the policy and the next administration or what's going to happen, those policies are going to be created by the people who are in the White House. And we have to have representation, and we have to have people to represent, you know, what we care about. Again, the policies that will affect us as people of color, as women, as entrepreneurs, just as people who want America to be reunited and unified. So our voices matter, and it's not even questionable, because if not, God forbid, what can happen. And I think we all know what the worst of the worst could look like.
Hopefully, we've seen pretty bad, but we hopefully it won't get worse. Well, I thank you, ladies, for joining me. Please let people know how they can get in touch with you guys, and of course, how they can find out more about C&D The Agency.
Yes, I am on Instagram and Twitter at Miss Marto. It's MISSMARTO. C&D The Agency is also on Instagram and Twitter at C and spelled out D The Agency. And again, we have our website, which is www.cndtheagency.com. We're actually looking for women right now to hire and work on our team. So if you're interested, please submit your resume on our website, and I'll let Courtney share her information.
So again, cndtheagency.com. On social media, on IG and Twitter, I am at the Brandista, as well as Facebook, actually, at the Brandista. And again, our website is cndtheagency.com, and we would love to hear from you guys.
Oh, I love that. Not only did they drop some nuggets, but there's also opportunity. That's when you know people are putting their money where their mouth is. You ladies, please. So this is a strictly female situation right now, right? Correct?
Well, we want to build an all-women's team. We want to provide opportunity for minority women, but that does not mean by any means that we're anti-men. Right. We're going to have male clients, so we'll be working with men, and I don't want to give that wrong impression. We just want to help women build together.
And we want to create a safe space where we can mentor women and share some of the things that, some of the gems that we've been able to receive in our career. We want to pass them on, and we want to give back in a way. And we think this is the best way to do it. But we love men too. This is just, there's a lot of opportunity out there for men though, right? Like
there is. Right. This is
world. Yeah.
Special for us. Well, again, thank you guys so much for joining. We'll make sure that we put the information out, and hopefully some women will be inspired by you all's story, and hopefully you'll find some new employees. We wish you guys all the best. Thank you so much, Dina and Courtney.
Thank you, Christal. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back with another reality check that, of course, again, is all about women and small businesses. Now we have a fashion entrepreneur. You guys stay tuned for that. This is Christal Jordan, your host for Reality Check. This has been a business reality check. I'll see you right back here.